Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today, I am excited to be doing a collaboration with Nancy May, which you also might know as a Handi Scandi, and she is one of the sweetest people I have met through card making. She just has a really gentle, soothing way about her, and I can't say enough nice things about her. So we're going to be both be doing a 3D project, so that's going to be the theme of the collaboration. And I will leave all of Nancy's um, information below for her YouTube channel. So please do head on over there and check out Nancy's project as well. I can't wait to see what she has in store for us. For my project, I have started out with a old box from a Stampin' Up kit that I had purchased at a garage sale years ago, and I thought it would be perfect for this project. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that with some gesso. And the gesso is going to go ahead and seal the cardboard so that I can add water and not have to worry about it ruining the cardboard. So I got a blah, blah. I went ahead and applied the gesso. Gesso dries fairly quick, so I let it dry. And then I'm going to grab this Tim Holtz tissue paper, and I'm just going to cut a piece off and add this as my background. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this with a little bit of matte medium. I use the Liquitex matte medium. This is basically the same as the Ranger, but the value of this big bottle is way better than that tiny little bottle you get of the Ranger matte medium. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and if you want to keep purchasing that, just go right ahead. But it really is a better value to buy the bigger container. Especially if you're using it and it's great for collages and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that tissue paper to the cardboard with that matte medium, and then I'm also going to take the matte medium and go over the top of the tissue paper to go ahead and seal that as well. And in my stash, I have these little shaker circles. They actually came in like a kit. I believe this is Jellee, and it came in a kit with a card panel that already had the hole cut. And you just use it as a shaker, and I've had it in my stash. And then the stamps that I'm using is from Creative Expressions, and it is called Boho Feathers. And I'll go ahead and set that aside for now, and I'm going to work on my background. And for my background, I really wanted to get a light gray or a light blue gray color, and I did several things and none of it really worked out for me. So I used a little bit of Prima watercolors. I used some Ice Spruce Distress Oxide, added more watercolors, and then I was just like, whatever, I will take some of my Salvage Patina Distress Spray and spray that on, and that's what I end up doing, and that ends up getting changed later on. I wanted to mention really quickly, if you struggle with mixed media and you don't know what order to put certain things on a mixed media piece, there's an artist, her name is Campbell, and she does mixed media, but not probably what you're thinking of mixed media as. She does a lot of drawings, mixed media, but she has a system that she calls a hamburger system, and it explains really well what can go on top of what. And so if you want to check her out, I absolutely love her. She's super talented. So what I've done here is I've stamped up my images several times using some VersaFine Clair in Nocturne. And I am taking my Tombos, and this is a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock. And so I'm going to take my Tombos and I'm going to color up all of the images. I don't leave a lot of the coloring in just because it's pretty repetitive, and I kind of basically do the same thing. Originally I was going to use my scan and cut to cut these out, and then decided that I would go ahead and fussy cut just because I didn't think that the scan and cut would be able to get the images cut as close as I wanted without kind of worrying about doing all this coloring and then worrying about the scan and cut, maybe cutting it too close. And so I went ahead and cut all my images out and colored them. And for the feathers that have the white stem in the middle, I'm taking a black micron marker and coloring the inside of those stems. And then I found this die in my stash that worked perfectly with the shaker piece. The sizes match really, really well. And now I'm just going to take a bunch of my little shaker bits and add them to the shaker piece. And so I'm using some sequins, some different Queen and Company items, and I was trying to kind of stick with a teal and a white, and then I thought I would go ahead and add a little bit of yellow beads just to add a little bit of a different color in there. And I'm just going to mix those sequins up a little bit. And then I'm going to remove that piece of release paper or backing paper so that I can adhere the circle piece. And here I just kind of laid it out, a dry layout, to see what I wanted, and then I set it aside so I can work on the background some more. And what I'm taking here is some kind of drywall tape. It's got a sticky back on it, so it is perfect for things like this because you don't have to worry about adhering it. So I'm going to go ahead and take several strips of the drywall tape and add that to my background. And then I'm going to add a little bit of gesso because I want there to be a little bit more white, especially against all of the color in the feathers. And so I wanted the background to be a little bit more subtle. And then for some more texture, I'm going to take this paper texture paste and I'm just going to put that in several different areas. And then I'm going to take a piece of corrugated cardboard. And basically I'm just going to push it into the paste so I get a little bit of texture off of that. And it just leaves the impression of the lines from that cardboard. I'm going to let that dry. And then I had this in my stash as well. I'm not quite sure what it is called. It's got wire in it, so it's easy to bend and twist and turn, but it's covered with almost like a twine. And so this is going to be the stem of my flower. And so I've gone ahead and I've just kind of wrapped that in a little circle to make that little curly Q thing that is going to be hooked on to the stem. And I love projects like these. I love card making. I love making cards, but it is so fun to do other projects every once in a while and just dig through the stuff in your craft room and see what you have and what you can pull out to use for different things. And that's also the great thing about mixed media is you can use so much stuff and so many different things to make a piece. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this flower stem. Normally I would use Fabri-Tac, but my bottle is all dried up because I haven't used it in a while. So I ended up using E6000, which is a really heavy-duty adhesive. And I wanted to make sure it was heavy-duty just because that is a little bit more difficult to adhere. And then for all of my feather pieces, I adhered some of the thin foam that I use a lot on my cards. And I've applied that foam to the backs of all of the feathers. And I have another one of those die cuts that I use for the center of my flower. And I don't know if I mentioned that this is going to be a flower. Hopefully it looks like a flower. But yeah, it's going to be a flower. But I don't remember what I was going to say. So I dry fit my pieces, and then of course when I went to transfer them over, it doesn't end up looking like the original dry fit. So, but I found this was the easiest way to go ahead and try and still keep my shape and keep everything how I wanted it placed. And so I'm just going to do layer after layer. And I adhered most things except I left out the leafy pieces because I wanted to be able to fit those in to different areas where I needed to fill in some space. So I'm going to go ahead and once I have my main piece down, I'm going to adhere that to the box. And then I'm going to take the shaker piece, which I've added some foam to the back of that as well, and add that to the center of my flower. And then I'm going to go ahead and fit some of those other pieces in where they need to go to fill in some space. And I go ahead and do this, and then I felt like I needed to add more. And so I do create some more pieces which are right here. And what I did was I stamped them up and then I gold embossed them so it doesn't add any more color, but it kind of fills in some of those spaces that I felt were empty. The sentiment that I stamped up says, make each day your masterpiece. And I'll go ahead and I'll adhere that. And then I am making these little springs to attach to the flower stem. So it's a really thin piece of wire. And I just wrap that around the pencil and it makes really cool little springs. And then I've taken some Lindy's, it's called Pixie Spray. I don't know if it's something that's still available, but it's basically like a glue spray. And then I'm going to adhere some of those little micro beads. And then I took a date stamper and I stamped the date. I also did add a bunch of embellishments in liquid pearls and stickles to different areas of the feathers. And of course, I can't forget to add the white splatter. So I've taken a little bit of white ink and watered that down, and I'm going to add a bunch of splatter to my background, and that is pretty much it. I kind of felt like it was a little bit empty towards the bottom, but I think there's enough going on at the top. It kind of works. And that completes my project. This was a blast to create, just so much fun. And I love how it turned out. So I'm just going to put it up in my craft room somewhere and draw inspiration from it, because a lot of times when I'm in a rut or I don't know what to do, I love having either stuff people have given me or cards people have sent me or cards that I've made around. And it really, really helps me sometimes when I can't think of something to do. But thank you so much, Nancy, for doing this collab and for coming up with a 3D theme. I absolutely had a blast. Again, don't forget to head on over to Nancy's channel. The link will be below. As always, if you like this video or found it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.